welcome to St. Andrew's United Church. Reverend Ray is on holidays this week, so leading us in worship this morning is someone many of us are familiar with, and I'm very happy to welcome back Bob Cabinas. And Bob is a licensed lay worship leader who has led worship services here previously, as well as in his home church of Lakeview United, and he's led other churches as well. We thank both him and his wife Peggy for leading us in worship today. We hope that the worship this morning is comfortable, helpful, inspirational, and that you find nourishment here for your journey in the week to come. Thank you for being with us.
Whoever you are, wherever you are, come. God is waiting for you.
We come to hear the word. We come to do the word.
Worship time brings different experiences to different people. Sometimes different experiences to the same people on different days and in different circumstances.
We come to experience comfort. We come to experience challenge. We come to experience God.
Worship time is an opportunity, a time for seeking.
We come seeking grace. We come seeking renewal. We come seeking Jesus.
You are full of surprises, God. We woke up this morning and found a new day had already begun, even as we slept. What was happening in the night while we were dreaming? Were you called to celebrate the birth of a new life? Were you called to comfort someone who is grieving? We know that you never sleep, O God, and yet here you are, as fresh as ever on this sunny morning. What miracles do you have in store for us? We pray that you will open our eyes to see you in our neighbor, our ears to hear your word, and your hearts to serve your purpose. Stir something in us this morning that will cause us to be a blessing to someone. We pray these things in love and in Jesus' name. Amen.
This week's gospel reading immediately follows a parable about a sower who goes out to sow, and some seeds fall on the path. Some seeds fall on rocky ground, some among thorns, and some on good soil. In case the reader didn't understand the message, Matthew follows it up with this parable about a farmer who sows good seed in the field and weeds grow up among the wheat. I'm reading today from Matthew 13, verses 24 to 30, 36 to 43. He put before them another parable. The kingdom of heaven may be compared to someone who sowed good seed in his field. But while everybody was asleep, an enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat and then went away. So when the plants came up and bore again, then the weeds appeared as well. And the slaves of the householder came and said to him, "Master, did you not sow good seed in your field? Where then did these weeds come from?" He answered, "An enemy has done this." The slaves said to him, "Then do you want us to go and gather them?" But he replied, "No, for in gathering the weeds, you would uproot the wheat along with them. Let both of them grow together until the harvest. And at the harvest time, I will tell the reapers, collect the weeds first and bind them in bundles to be burned, but gather the wheat into my barn." Then he left the crowds and went into the house, and his disciples approached him, saying, "Explain to us the parable of the weeds of the field." He answered, "The one who sows the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world, and the good seed are the children of the kingdom. And the weeds are the children of the evil one, and the enemy who sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the age, and the reapers are angels. Just as the weeds are collected and burned up with fire, so will it be at the end of the age. The Son of Man will send his angels, and they will collect out of his kingdom all causes of sin and all evildoers, and they will throw them into the furnace of fire, where they will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then the righteous will shine like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Let anyone with ears listen." Hear what the Spirit is saying to the church. Thanks be to God.
Cavatina by Stanley Myers.
I speak to you in the name of the one who teaches using parables. What motivates you? Some people are motivated by money, a chance for fame or power. Some people are motivated by fear. Perhaps you worked for someone in the past who was a manager that managed by fear and intimidation, and maybe that motivated you or some coworkers. Each of us has our own currency, something that encourages or inspires us to do the things that we do. Even when we think we do something just because it's the right thing to do, there's still something in it for us. Maybe it's the satisfaction of knowing that you did something good for someone, or the satisfied feeling you get when you know you did a job well. When our granddaughter Morgan was 10, she won her first medal in competitive swimming. She was telling me and her grandma about it. She relived the race stroke by stroke. And here's what I remember her saying. I was thinking with every stroke, I've got a chance, I've got a chance. At the same time, I was thinking, it's not about the medal, it's not about the medal, but oh boy, do I want that medal. We all like being rewarded, don't we? And at the same time, we hate being punished. I have a friend who's an evangelist, very strong in his faith, prays every day, volunteers at his church. By all accounts, a good Christian. He's also a literalist. He claims that all of the events in the stories in the Bible are historically accurate and happened exactly the way the Bible stories say they happened. One day, Bernie and I got into a healthy discussion about our religious differences. I started the conversation. Bernie, I said, I know that we both claim the name Christian, and yet we're quite different in our beliefs and our understanding of what that means. How so? Bernie wanted to know. Well, I said, I know that we both try to live a good life, do good things, love our neighbor, all of that. But one big difference, in my opinion, is in the motivation. Why we do the things we do. For my part, I believe that we are called as Christians to participate in God's dream of making the world a better place. I try to do my part because I think that's what Jesus wants us to do. Simple as that. I think my motivation is the satisfied feeling I get when I've done something that I believe Jesus wants me to do. On your part, Bernie, and correct me if I'm getting it wrong, but I suspect you are motivated by fear. You don't want to burn in a furnace of fire for eternity or go to hell when you die. How am I doing, Bernie? Is this basically the difference between you and me? Am I getting close? Oh, you got it, Bob, Bernie said. That is precisely the difference. I understand where you're coming from, Bernie said. But at the same time, you might want to pay more attention to the hell stuff. Today's reading, a parable from Matthew, pays attention to the hell stuff. In the second half of the reading, Jesus explains the metaphor, telling the disciples that at the end of the age, angels from God will collect all the evildoers and throw them into the furnace of fire, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then the righteous will shine like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. One wouldn't be blamed for thinking that perhaps there should have been a disclaimer before the reading, something like, warning, today's reading contains phrases of violence and graphic descriptions. Reader discretion is advised. Evildoers being thrown into a furnace of fire. What an image. No wonder Bernie is scared. Me, I'm not a literalist. I don't take this reading literally. I do, however, take it very seriously. Of course, I could be wrong. The literal understanding of it could be exactly what happens, in which case I better be doing everything I can to avoid evil doing. I should anyway, right? My belief is that this story is told this way in order to get our attention. Sometimes you have to exaggerate to get someone's attention in order to make a point. When my oldest son was 12, he had moved up from Cubs to Scouts and came with me and the Cub pack that I was a leader with at the time to camp, sort of as a bridge between the 8 to 10-year-old Cubs and the adult leaders. On the first day of camp, Ken and I were walking through the camp and saw some of the younger boys playing with the fire. Nothing really dangerous, just poking around with sticks. At the same time, I decided this was a perfect opportunity for me to impart some of my adult wisdom. So I began a very serious safety lecture. The boys' eyes glazed over. They didn't hear a word I said. Ken stopped me and said, "Dad, sometimes you have to talk to people in a language they can understand." He looked at the boys and said, "Hey, stop it. Play with that fire once more and you're dead." The sticks went down immediately. Sometimes you might have to scare people into doing the right thing. Maybe Matthew understood that. Maybe Jesus understood that. I wonder if Jesus was using the strong graphic language and exaggerating the same way my son Ken was when he said, "Play with that fire again and you're dead." Ken wasn't really uttering a death threat, but the point was made. Living life includes consequences. In the end, I don't know who's right, Bernie or me. Will the evildoers really get thrown into a furnace of fire at the end of the age? Do I need to be scared into being the kind of man that God created me to be? Or is it enough to follow Christ in my own way and for my own reasons? Does it really matter what motivates us, as long as something does? Let me close with this thought. I am motivated by a need to feel good about myself. My friend Bernie is motivated by fear of hell. Perhaps you are motivated by something else. And you know what? Each of us is right. We're all doing the same thing. We're putting one foot in front of the other, following Christ along the way. In this, as in all things, glory be to God.
Let them flow in sea.
Let us now join together in prayer and invitation to our offering. God has given us many gifts, even in this strange time of self-isolation, Zoom gatherings, and online worship. God has shown us a variety of ways that we can offer our support to God's work. As we reflect on how we may give back to God, let us remember that we are not giving to the church, we are giving through the church. Let us join together in our offertory prayer. Generous God, we give you a portion of all you have so generously given us. Even as we give, our hearts seek you and your blessing. Take us and take these gifts and cause us and them to become blessings for others. We ask this in love and in Jesus' name. Amen.
Let us now attend to the work and privilege of prayer. Would you bow with me? Loving God, we give thanks for the technology that permits us to pray together even when we are isolated. We give thanks that your Spirit is not limited by government isolation requirements and relaunch strategies. You are able to reach deep into our hearts wherever we are. No matter how alone we think we are, you are always here with us. Even in the midst of all that is happening, something good did happen this week. In silence now, we celebrate at least one good thing that happened this week, and we give thanks for it. Compassionate God, we bring our vulnerable selves to you this morning with prayers from the most private places of our hearts and our lives, trusting that you will hear our prayers and in your love answer. In silence, we share with you and only you our fears, our worries, our wishes for better days ahead. Healing God, we pray for people we know and people we don't know who are alone, sick, grieving a loss, worried, and afraid. In silence, we name them to you, God, while at the same time praying that you will give us the grace to support them. We thank you, God, for the privilege of bringing our joys, celebrations, and our concerns to you in prayer. Hear us now as we pray with Jesus, saying, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Spirit of the living God,
Would you say with me the benediction prayer? As we leave this sacred time of worship, may we be reminded that the Spirit of the living God walks with us every step of the way. May we share God's love with everyone we meet this week, in person, online, by telephone, or a card or letter sent. May we move into the rest of our Sunday changed. Amen.